Okay, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. So, today, this is, I believe, week 3 of our Core 006 Probability and Statistics. And this is the last lesson before our achievement test. Okay, so the title of our lesson today is Calculating the Mean and Variance of a Discrete Random Variable. So we have two lesson objectives. One is to illustrate the mean and variance of a discrete random variable, and to calculate the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. Okay, so before we go through our new lesson, let's have this review. So, determining the probability. So, say that we have five colored marbles in a box. What is the probability of randomly picking a blue marble? So let's say we have this box, right? Na ay lima ka marbles, colored marbles. Pila daw ang chance nga atong mabunutan nga marble without looking what's inside the box, without minaro nga style para maaang atong makuha kay blue marble. Okay? Walay mga inana. Dapat wala gyud ta nagtan-aw sa box. Pila man ang chance nga akong makuha kay blue marble. Unsaon ganito ang pagkuha sa probability? So this is the formula, right? So probability is equal to the number of desired outcomes over the total number of outcomes. So if we're going to write our solution, that is the probability of what event? Unsa gani atong gusto nga mabunutan kay ang blue marble, right? So what is the probability of picking a blue marble? Now, what is our desired outcome? Unsa man ato ang gusto nga mabunutan? Unsa atong gakuan og probability? So si blue marble, right? So pila man kabuk blue marble sa sulod sa box? So isa lang. Over the total number of outcomes, pila man sila kabuk tanan sa sulod sa box? Lima. Right? So that is 1/5. So the probability of getting a blue marble is 1/5. How about what if ang ato ang problem is randomly picking a green marble? So, what is the probability of picking a green marble? So, pila man kabuok atong desired outcomes? Pila kabuok green marbles? Tulo. Okay, na tulo ka green marbles. Over, pila sila kabuok tanan? Lima. So, the probability of getting green marbles is 3/5. And as you can see, mas dako atong chance nga makakuha ta or makabunot ta o green marble kaysa sa blue marble, right? If you do not have any idea, imo lang tan-awon ang numbers, di ba makakita ka nga mas dako ning chance kay mas dako man si 3/5. Right? Mas dako mag-value si 3/5 kaysa kay 1/5. Okay, let's continue. Last time also we learned that we can express our probabilities in three different ways, right? So let's have here an example. So let's say that there are 26 red cards in a standard deck with 52 cards. Let's express the probability of getting a red card in fractions, decimal, and percentage. Now, we are going to get the probability of getting a red card. Let's express it first in fractions. So we have it here. We know that there are 26 red cards. So 26 kabuk red cards over how many cards in a deck of cards? 52. So that is why 26 over 52. 26 kay naay 13 ka diamonds, naay 13 ka hearts. Okay? But always remember, no, kay diri ta usahay mabikil. Do not forget to simplify your answers. Okay? Always simplify your answers. So the answer is 1/2. 1/2 can be expressed as decimal. Unsaon man? So you just have to divide 1 divided by 2. You will get 0.5. And of course, decimal can be expressed as percentage, or this one. 1/2 times 100 is equal to 50%. Or you can just simply move two decimal places to the right. Okay. So 0.5, and you just have to move two decimal places to the right. So that becomes 50%. So as you can see, again, in probability, we can express our answers in three different ways. So pwede fraction, pwede decimal, pwede sad percentage. Okay? Kaya equivalent naman ni sila tulo. So si 1/2, 0.5. 0.5 meaning 50%. Okay? So now let's go through uh, understanding what really is the meaning of mean, variance, and standard deviation. So we have here two set of datas, right? So natay duha ka set of datas. Okay. And the mean of these two sets of data is 87. Parehas sila 87 ang mean. And as you can remember in junior high school, we already tackled about mean, right? And when we say mean, this is the average or the most common value in a collection of numbers. So, mo na siya ang pinaka-common nga value in a collection of numbers. So, if you are going to look at the first data set, 80, 85, 85, 90, 95, is it a common value? Or is it the average sa 87? Just by looking, not by nag-compute yung ka, no? So just by looking at it, yes, it is, right? Because 87 is close to these numbers, right? Si 87 is close to these numbers. Therefore, ang imuhang mean kay precise siya sa data nga imuhang gihatag, sa imuhang data set. It is precise. Okay? But looking at the second data set, we have here 25, 65, 70, 125, 150. Now, if we're going to observe the given average and our data set, is it precise? Is it a common value sa 87 between these numbers sa ato ang data set? Di ba dili? Kay nga naman. Because layo ra kaayo ang imuhang average sa uban nga mga data. So, layo ra ka imong average sa uban nga scores. Nay nakakuha og 25, nay nakuha og 150. Diba? Layo kay siya. Therefore, dili precise ang atong mean. So, if we're just going to have the average of a certain data set, when we interpret the data, dili siya inana ka-precise. When we're going to interpret the data, kulang ang atong information. Therefore, dinha na dayon mo gawas si variance and standard deviation. So, as you look into these charts, right, the top chart, kaning nasa taas, this chart is for the first data set. If you look at that chart, you would see the difference very clearly, right? The scores here above is very clustered together, meaning dugol kay sila, right? If this is 87, say 87 is siya, therefore, the average dugol ra kayo to one another. Ang difference ni average towards the other data set, ang difference ni average towards the other numbers is very duol, no? Dagul ra ang ilahang difference. But if you will look at the second or the bottom nga chart, if this is where si 87, ang iyang difference sa uban nga mga scores or sa uban nga mga numbers is very big, right? Therefore, atong average dili siya inana ka precise. Therefore, if we're going to have an interpretation of data, again, dili po siya precise. So, si variance di ay, unsa din na si variance and si standard deviation. So, class, si variance and standard deviation, especially standard deviation class, that is the measure of spread sa data. Okay? The higher the standard deviation, it means nga grabe sad kaayo, kalayo ang diferensya sa imuhang average o sa imuhang mga scores. So, say for example, kani, 'di ba? Sa 87 o sa 25, dako kaayo sila og ligas. So if imong tan-awon, si mean and si variance, si standard deviation rather, they always go together because it helps you understand more the data. Again, okay, again, si variance and the standard deviation class, sila ang mag-measure kung unsa ka spread ang imuhang data. Because again, if you're just going to look at the mean, just like our example, dili precise ang atong interpretation sa atong data if magsalig lang ta ni average. So kinahanglan makita nato kung unsa di siya ka spread, unsa kalagyo ang atong mga dataset, no? Unsa kalayo ang atong average or ang atong dataset sa atong average. Dapat na nato makita or masabtan. Okay. So let's go through now the mean and variance of discrete random variable. So mean of a discrete random variable x is the weighted average of the possible values that the random variable can take. Unlike the sample mean of a group of observations, which gives each observation equal weight, the mean of a random variable weights each outcome x sub I according to its probability p sub I. The common symbol for the mean, also known as the expected value of x, is mu. Okay, so this is mu, formally defined by mu sub x is equal to x sub 1 times p sub 1 plus x sub 2 times p sub 2 plus so on and so forth until x sub n times p sub n is equal to the summation of x sub I times p sub I. Okay, we will understand this one more later as we are going to have our examples. So the mean of a random variable provides the long run average of the variable or the expected average outcome over many observations. Now, the variance of a discrete random variable x measures the spread or variability of the distribution and is defined by sigma square sub x. Okay, so this is a sigma symbol. Sigma square sub x is equal to the summation of the quantity x sub I minus mu sub x squared times p sub I. Okay, so kani siya nga symbol class is a sigma. This is a sigma with a small letter s. Okay? This one is also a sigma, right? This is a sigma notation. But that one is with the big or the capital letter S. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Now, to get the, di ba, variance naman ni siya, to get the standard deviation, ato lang i-square root si variance. Okay? Pagkuhaon nato si square root, that will be now the standard deviation. Okay? So again, kung i-square root nato si variance, ang result ana kay imong standard deviation. So muna siya ang atuang measurement of spread sa atuang data. Okay? So let's have here some terms and let's review what is random variable again. When we say random variable, this is a variable whose value is determined by a random experiment. So, lahi si variable sa statistics o kay algebra. Kung maingon ta og random variable in statistics, this is the outcome of the experiment. Let's say, for example, nagtoss ko og coin. Right? Pag toss na kog coin, ang nigawas kay tail. Kung kana si tail class mo na siya atong random variable. Nga at na-determine na siya tungod sa ato ang random experiment. Unsa man ang atong random experiment, nagtoss tag coin. So ang pagawas sa tail, ang result nga tail is a random variable. So kung ang outcome lang na siya sa atong experiment when we say random variable, okay? But what is discrete? Again, when we say discrete, it is finite, right? So, ang mga finite nga data will be under discrete. Say, for example, paggawas heads and tails, right? Isa ra man gyud ka head ang atong makuha. Isa ra man gyud ka tail. So, finite siya. Wala siya mga in-between nga mga value, right? Kay dili man pwede nga moingon tag 1.5 heads. Naaday pwede day mo gawas ang 1.5 heads kung mag-toss ta og isa lang ka coin or even duha ka coin, tulo ka coin. Diba dili dapat isa ra na siya ka head or duha ka tail ang mogawas, tulo ka tail, tulo ka heads, right? So ina na ang meaning ni discrete. Wala siya mga value in between. Okay? So ang ato ang mga experiment nga ato ang buhaton or ang mga problems nga atong ma-encounter will have a discrete random variables. So, ang mga experiment nato, the outcome of our experiment will have a discrete random variable. Now, we will also be discussing or we will be using this one in our solution, a probability distribution. So, a probability distribution class is a table or it's a formula that lists the probabilities for each outcome of the random variable x. So, kaganina, di ba naingon ko nga if ever na atay experiment, tapos ang atong random variable x ang nigawas kay tail. So, si tail, outcome na nato siya, di ba? Ato pong ilis ang iyahang corresponding probability. So, dapat ato na siyang i-table. Okay? So, we will see that later when we are going to discuss our examples. Okay. Let's now calculate the mean and the variance of a discrete random variable. So we have here example number 1. So we are to consider rolling a die. What is the average number of spots that would appear? Okay, so usa man ang die. Die is a singular form sa atong dice. So natay isa ka die. Ato daw i-consider nga ato siyang i-roll. So, pila daw ang average number of spots that would appear? Okay? So, we have here the steps in finding the value of the mean. So, step 1 class, we need to construct the probability distribution. Kata kung giingon no, nga maghimo tag table. For the random variable x, representing the number of spots that would appear. Okay, so, to do that, we need to know what are the possible outcomes sa ato ang experiment. Unsa man atong experiment? Rolling a die, right? And we know that each die has 6 faces. Right? Nanay unom ka face. And each face na ay number of spots. Okay, so we have here. Diba? So this is the outcome. Right? This is the random variable x. So, pwede 1 ang mogawas, pwede pag-roll nimo sa die, pwede 1 ang mogawas, pwede 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we need to get the probability of each outcome. So, kani siya, wala ni siya ilabot sa imuhang probability distribution class ha. Ato lang na siyang gisumpay so that dili libog sa pag-answer nato. So, if pahimuon mo probability distribution kanilang duha. Okay? Ato lang na siyang gisumpay again para if ever mag-solve ta, dili siya libog. Okay? So, let's continue. So, what is the probability nga 1 imong makuha? Kung mag-roll kag die, pila daw ang probability nga 1 imong makuha? So, pila man kabuk 1 number of spots na ha? Pila man kabuk 1 ang naa sa die? Isa ra ka buok. Nya, pila man sila tanan kabuok, pila man ang total number of outcomes, di ba? Unom. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unom kabuok. Now, pila man kabuok 2. Isa ra pud kabuok 2. Pila man sila kabuok tanan? 6. Okay, and so on and so forth. So, 3. Pila kabuok 3? 1. Pila sila tanan kabuok? 6. So, that's the probability of each outcome. Okay? Now, this is our step 1. Right? Na natay probability distribution. Nakakonstruct na ta. Now, multiply the value of the random variable x by the corresponding probability p of x. So, ato dong i-multiply si outcome o si probability. Si x o si p sub x. So, x, no, not p sub x, p of x. Okay, x times p of x. 1 times 1/6 is 1/6. 2 times 1/6 is 2 over 6. 3 times 1/6 is 3/6. So, as you can see, wala na ko gi simplify because later ang last mong good nga step kay i-add nato sila tanan, and it is easier to add all of them if they are similar fractions, right? Kung parehas sila tanan og denominator. So 3 times 1/6 is 3/6, then so on and so forth. I-times lang na nimo sila tanan. So that is our step 2. Now, again, atong step 3 is add all the results obtained in step 3. So, we're going to add all of this. Okay, so you can just add it in your calculator, class. Okay, you can use your calculator. So, we have here the mean of mu sub x, or the expected value of x, or the mean of a discrete random variable is equal to the summation x sub I, p sub I. Diba si x sub I kay kani? Gi-times nato kay p sub I nga kani. So, pangitaon nato ilang summation. So, i-add nato tanan ang katong atong gipang times. So, 1/6 plus 2 over 6 plus 3 over 6 plus 4 over 6 plus 5 over 6 plus 6 over 6. That is 7 over 2. Kani siya is the simplified form already. Munang na 7 over 2 na siya. Or, that is 3.5. Therefore, 3.5 ang average number of spots that would appear if we're going to roll a die. So, that is the mean. So, diba? It's simple. Simple ra ang ato ang pagpangita kay mean. Right? You just really have to follow the steps and dili magdinanghag sa ato ang pag-solve. Kausay, diba? Malipat ta. So, careful lang. Okay, let's go on now to example number 2. Now, we need to find the variance and standard deviation of example number 1. Now, this table right here, sa ato ang example number 1, is very helpful in finding the variance and standard deviation. Because as you can see, these are the following steps. Step 1, in finding the value of variance and standard deviation, you need to find the mean of the probability distribution. Therefore, nanatay step 1, right? Because we already know the mean, which is 7 over 2 or 3.5. So that is step 1. Now, in number 2, we need to subtract the mean from each value of the random variable. So, i-subtract daw nato si mean from the random variable x. Unsa ganina si random variable x ang atong outcome. So, kani. So, mag-minus ta. So, what will happen? X minus the mean. Diba? X minus the mean. So, 1 minus 7 over 2 equals negative 5 over 2. 2 minus 7 over 2 equals negative 3 halves. 3 minus 7 over 2, negative 1 half. 4 minus 7 over 2, positive 1 half. 5 minus 7 over 2, that is positive 3 halves. 6 minus 7 over 2 is 5 over 2. So that is now our step number 2. Now, in step number 3 daw, class, we need to square the results obtained in step 2. So, these are the results, right? We have for step 2, so we're going to square them. Meaning, we're going to multiply the number, the fraction to itself twice. So, may mo siyang inani, no? Kaya i-square man siya. So, negative 5 over 2 square, negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, next, negative 3 square is negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9. 2 times 2 is positive 4. Negative 1 half square, negative 1 times negative 1, positive 1. 2 times 2 is 4. And so on and so forth. Okay? So you just got the idea already how to get that one. Now that is our step 3. Now, our step 4, it said here, you need to multiply the results obtained in step 3 by the corresponding probability. Ato dong i-times kaning ato ang step 3 sa iyang corresponding nga probability. Aman atong probability na ara. So, i-multiply nato si 25 over 4 times 1/6. Okay? So, muna siya ang mahitabo. Again, if you're going to multiply fraction, you just have to multiply it numerator by numerator, denominator to denominator. So, 25 times 1, 25. 4 times 6, 24. Agi kan si 25 over 4 sa step 3. Agi kan si 1/6 sa imong probability. Tanawon lang din ninyo. Okay? So, there you go. 9 over 4. 9 over 4 times 1/6, that becomes 9 over 24. 1/4 times 1/6 is equal to 1 over 24. And so on and so forth. Okay? So that's it. That is our step 4. Now, we are now in the last step for finding the variance in standard deviation. Now, we need to get the sum of the results obtained in step 4. So, kwaon daw nato ang sum. Unsa gani ng sum? Ang result sa pag-add. So, i-add na to tanan ang sa result sa step 4. So, kani sila. I-add ni nato. You just get your calculator, class, no? And i-add siya. 25 over 24 plus 9 over 4 plus 1 over 24 plus 1 over 24 plus 9 over 24 plus 25 over 24. So, pag-add ninyo, anak, class, the result will be sigma square is equal to 35 over 12 or 2.917. And that will be our variance. Okay? That will be our variance. So, i-add lang ni siya tanan sa atong calculator. Makuha din nato siya. Hala, ma'am, nganong, nganong ang ato ang answer din sa decimal kay tuluman ka decimal places. Okay? Because this is in your modules. So, ako lang pong gi-follow nga 3 decimal places. But, in our Google Forms, you have to read what is the instruction. Okay? It's very important to read nga kung ang iyang giingon, you express your answers into decimal, 3 decimal, 4 decimal places. Okay? So, magbasa gyud ta para dili ta mamali. Right? Okay, now we already have our variance, which is 2.917. Let's now find our standard deviation. Kung saan nga ipagkuha si standard deviation, square root lang nato si variance. So, by square root nato si variance, so 2.917. Now, our sigma becomes sigma na lang, right? Because the square root of sigma square is sigma. So, sigma is equal to the square root of 2.917, which is 1.708. So, that is now our standard deviation. Okay, so that is how we get our mean, our variance, and standard deviation. It is quite long. It's lengthy, especially if daghan kayo outcomes. But it's simple if you just follow the steps and careful ta sa ato ang mga signs. Okay? Okay, let's go on now to the next example. Suppose 3 coins are tossed. Let random variable x be the number of heads showing. Find the expected value, variance, and standard deviation. So, mag-toss daw ta og tulo ka coins. Okay? Unya, ang atong outcome, okay, ang atong random variable x, ang atong outcome, kay the number of heads showing. So, sa atong probability distribution, ang outcome nato kay kung pila ka book heads ang moto nga if magtos daw ta og tulo ka coin. Wala ko'y labot sa pila ka book tail ang mogawas ang because sa atong problem kay ang number of heads nga mag-show. Now, we need to find the expected value or muna siya atong mean, the variance, and the standard deviation. So, say for example, we have it here, right? Nanatay probability distribution table. Now, let's have all the possible outcome if mag-toss tag tulo ka coin. So, kung moingon ganitag 3 coins are tossed, we are supposing nga ato siyang i-toss at the same time. Okay? So, idungan nato sila og labay. Okay. So, these are the possible outcomes if mag-toss ta og tulo ka coin. No? Okay, there will be times, no, nga kung mag-toss ka og tulo ka coins, pwede head, head, head ang mugawas. Right? So, pila ka head man ani? 3 heads. Ngano ganing heads lang atong ginalista, wala tay labot kung pila ka book tails ang mugawas. Because sa atong problem, let x be the number of heads showing. Okay. So, napoy times nga kung mag-toss ta sa air og tulo ka coin, pwede ang mugawas head, head, tail. Right? How many heads are there? 2. Pwede pod nga HTH, head, tail, head. Duha gyapon siya ka heads. Pwede pod HTT, right? 1 head lang. Pwede pod THH, 2 heads. THT, 1 head. TTH, 1 head. And pwede pod tulo ka tail. So that is 0 heads. So as you can see, our outcome here varies from 0 to 3. So pwede 0 nga head, pwede 1, 2, 3. Therefore, the outcome is 0, 1, 2, and 3. Kay mo man na siya ang outcome sa number of heads kung mag-toss ta og tulo ka coin daw. Okay, so it is from 0 to 3. Kung dili man 4, pwede 4. Kay tulo raman ka coin. Right? So, naay possibility nga tulo gyud ka heads ang atong makuha. Dili na pwede 4, 5, 6. Kay again, tulo ra siya ka coin. Okay, these are the possible number of heads ang pwede mo gawas kung mag-toss ta og tulo ka coin. Okay? Now, we need to get the probability of each outcome. Now, pila man kabuok ang possibility, no? Ang pila man kabuok ang chance nga 0 ang atong makuha nga head. So, tanaw nimo sa imong gilista, pila kabuok din na ang 0 head. So, 1. Kani siya. Isa kabuok. 1 over pila kabuok ang possible outcome. Pila man sila kabuok tanan class? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, it's 1 over 8. Okay. Now, pila ang possibility class nga 1 ang atong makuha? 1, isa ra ka head ang atong makuha. So, atong ihapon. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so naay tulo over, pila sila buktanan? 8. Next, pila ang possibility nga duha ra ang makuha? 2 heads ra pag-toss nimo tulo ka coin. 1, 2, 3. 3 gapon. So, 3 over 8. How about 3? Pila ka book ang 3 heads? If mag-toss tag tulo ka coin, isa lang, di ba? Head, head, head. So, that is 1 over 8. So, that's the probability of getting 3 heads 3 over 8 kung 2 heads. 3 over 8 gyapon kung 1 head. And 1 over 8 kung 0 heads. Okay, so that is now our probability distribution table. So, okay na to sa step number 1. Okay, let's go on now to step number 2. Okay. Again, step number 2, we need to multiply the outcome and its corresponding probability. So, 0 times 1 over 8 is 0, right? 1 times 3 eighths is 3 over 8. 2 times 3 eighths is 6 over 8. 3 times 1 eighth is 3 over 8. Again, dili lang nako siya i-simplify so that kung mag-add ko, simple na lang siya. Okay, especially if wala kay calculator. Now, the mean of the discrete random variable x is equal to the summation of x sub I p sub I. So we need to add all of this. So if we add all of them, 0 plus 3 over 8 plus 6 over 8 plus 3 over 8 is equal to 12 over 8. Now we need to simplify, right? What is saan pag simplify ani? That becomes 3 over 2. Okay, divisible silang duha by 4. Right? 12 divided by 4, 3, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Masimplify pa ba si 3 over 2? Masimplify pa nato, dili na. So, again, ang iyahang corresponding decimal is 1.5. So, that is now our mean. Okay. Now, let's find the variance and the standard deviation. As I've told you earlier, magamit nato ang atong table to further answer ang atoang variance and standard deviation, right? So, nanatay step 1, kinapangita naman nato si mean. Now, we need daw to subtract the mean from each value of the random variable x. So, mag-minus ta. So, x, nara tong x din he, 0 minus atong mean, which is 3 over 2. So, 0 minus 3 over 2 is negative 3 over 2. 1 minus 3 over 2 is negative 1 half. 2 minus 3 over 2 is positive 1 half. 3 minus 3 over 2 is 3 over 2. Okay, so that is step 2. Now, step 4, step 3, we need daw to square the results of step 2. Ato daw ni siyang ipang square. Okay, negative 3 over 2 square is negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Positive 2 times positive 2 is positive 4. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Positive 2 times positive 2, positive 4. So, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, ingon ana si step number 3. Now, si step 4 daw, i-multiply daw nato ang atong step 3, ang result sa atong step 3, by its corresponding probability. So, kani, ihang probability, right? So, 9 times 9 over 4 times 1 over 8. Again, ang pag-multiply ba sa fraction, numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. 9 times 1, 9. 4 times 8, 32. So, again, ahagikan si 9 over 4 sa step 3. Agikan si 1/8 sa imong probability. Okay, so you just have to follow that one. That will be your step 4. Now, for step 5 class, we need now to get the sum of the results obtained in step number 4. So, i-add daw ni nato silang tanan. So, pag-add nato sa ilaha, that will be now our variance. Okay? So, sigma square is equal to 3 over 4 or 0.75. That is now our variance. To get the standard deviation, we just need to get the square root of the variance. So, square root lang nato siya class. So, sigma square, right, becomes sigma. And the square root of 0.75 is 0.866. Again, you just have to input this one in your calculators. Therefore, the standard deviation is 0.866. The variance is 3/4. The mean is 3 over 2. Okay, so that is how you get, again, the mean, the variance, and the standard deviation of a discrete random variable. Now, let's have this final example. Okay, we have here a situation. A bake shop owner determines the number of boxes of pandesal that are delivered each day. So find the mean of the probability distribution shown. If the manager stated that 35 boxes of pandesals were delivered in one day, do you think that this is a believable claim? State your conclusion. Now, there are problem class na tagaan nata niya diretso og probability distribution. But there will also be problems class nga dili. So again, you take note kung giunsa to nato paghimo kaganina ang probability distribution sa example number 3 nato. Okay. So we have to answer this one. So this is very easy. We just need to find the mean. Right? Unsa man ang average number of boxes every day nga gina-deliver sa bake shop owner? Ana siya 35 daw, 'di ba? So kung 35 tan-aw nato kung true ba, believable ba ang iyahang giingon nga 35? So by applying the mean of a discrete random variable, atong makita if tinuod ba ang iyahang giingon. Right? 35 ba gyud ka boxes ang kinahanglan niya in one day, or 35 ba gyud ka boxes ang iyang ma-delivered every day? So by the concept of mean of a discrete random variable, ato siyang maansiran. Okay, so let's follow through the steps. Again, unsaon gani ang next step? I-times si x sa p of x. So 35 times 0.10 is 3.5. So you just multiply that one, you input in your calculator, kani ang result nga mogawas. And then, kung saan pagkuha ni mean, i-add ni nato silang tanan. Kani si x times p of x. Okay? So, pag add nato sa ilang tanan, ang nakuha nato is 37.1. Therefore, the average daw of number of boxes nga ma-deliver sa bake shop owner each day kay 37.1, or approximately 37 boxes. Now, believable ba ihang claim nga 35 boxes of pandesal? Yes or no? Okay. It's a no. His claim is not believable because the average delivery in a day is 37.1, or approximately 37 boxes, and not 35 boxes. So as you can see, class, we can use this lesson in applying in our daily lives, especially when it comes to businesses. Right? So ato siyang makuha. Okay, so that's it for our lesson for today. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you understood our lesson. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in our group chats. Thank you and have a good day, and advance Merry Christmas to all.